welcome to the first Citizen Media Expert Interview Series. Ashoka Changemakers, with the support of Google, launched Citizen Media, a global innovation competition to find solutions that use media to catalyze participatory citizenship. Media connects people to their world, gives voice to their dreams and ideas, and equips them with knowledge to improve their lives and the lives of others. But even in this age of pervasive media, millions lack access to the most basic information tools. The Citizen Media Competition seeks to change this reality. In this series, we'll connect with media experts from around the world to explore major trends, obstacles, and what lies ahead.
I'm joined today by Anoush Rima Tatevossian, who is a Strategic Communications Officer for Global Pulse, an innovations initiative in the Executive Office of the UN Secretary General. Anoush, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
I was hoping you could start out by telling us a bit more about your work with the UN Global Pulse.
Sure. So as you mentioned, as in the introduction, it's an innovations initiative here at the UN, and what Global Pulse is really doing is exploring how to leverage new and emerging technologies to harness this ocean of big data that we're living in today, to better understand fluctuations in human well-being. Basically, we're swimming in content and data today. Mobile phones, social networking, online news, mobile banking, information, help hotlines, internet search, and more, of course. All over the world, it's exploding. And all of that data and content that's produced can give us an insight into basically a global pulse, which is, the idea. The idea is that there are already the technologies out there, the tools are out there, the content is out there, and we've seen already the private sector using data to better understand and serve their customers, for example. So, now the time is that for the UN and the international community to also learn to listen to populations, and especially to our mandate, it's really to detect when people are under stress due to global shocks like food, fuel, or financial crises, so that policies and programs can be put into place to respond and protect people from harm.
Mm-hmm. And what is some of the response that you've seen from the international community from this work that you've done so far?
Well, it's a new initiative, and what's great about it is that it is very, un-UN, if I could say that. It's a different approach, it's very collaborative, and it's very much an experimental sort of process, and it's a movement that we're building and finding collaborators. So it's a great project to work on and develop here in this it's kind of like an innovation lab here in New York that we've got to start. And it's a great project to work on because it touches so many parts of what we might broadly call the international community. For example, it obviously requires the buy-in of UN agencies and the international development community. It obviously requires the buy-in of governments, and as well as the open source technology community and local communities. So we're getting enthusiastic responses, and everyone's eager to collaborate with us because it's really what Global Pulse is offering is a new approach or a worldview, and it's really experimental, and it's really at the very beginnings of creating this movement.
Mm-hmm. And when your goal is to tackle this ocean of information and the scope that you're working with, it being this international community and so many different agencies from across the world, how do you begin to focus it in, or what are some of the challenges the main challenges that you faced as you've tried to go about this?
Well, of course, a big challenge is that data is messy and information is messy. Every organization is collecting it in different ways. It's stored in different formats. There's issues of privacy and protection of data, and so this project really is the crux of a lot of pressing issues of the day. So it sits at the intersection of bottom-up communication and crowdsourcing. It involves big data. It involves really a new shift in how we think about international development and responding to people. So there's definitely a lot of challenges to work through. One of the main ones is what I touched on just right now, is sort of balancing the greater good or the social benefit of looking at data trails, and then balancing that with the security and privacy of data that we face today in our digital age. So our challenge is to be sure that we're really alert and aware of the changing times, and finding that sweet spot between what's responsible usage of data and content and information without putting anyone at risk or risk of information being used for unintended purposes. And so It's a lot of things that we're working through, but again, we benefit from this being a highly collaborative and experimental project. We have the luxury of being this innovation lab here in New York. We have great convening power to bring together a lot of the experts in this field and work on how to do this as we go along. It's a very iterative, collaborative process. So we don't propose that we have the solutions yet, but we're just learning it as we go.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to switch a bit and ask, previous to this, working with the UN Global Pulse, you'd worked with Mobile Active, and I'd love to learn more about how you see mobile technologies intersect with the potential for citizen media.
Well, I think it's a huge intersection. It's a big enabler of citizen media. Mobile phones are enabling everything from blogging, tweeting, citizen reporting, social networking. All of those things are hugely enabled by mobile phones. There's now over 5 billion mobile phone subscriptions worldwide, and I think some 2/3 of those are in the developing world, and that number is only increasing. So that's 5 billion little eyes and ears. It's a powerful communications device right there in our pockets, always with us, always on. And so it's no surprise that we're seeing a rise in bottom-up citizen reporting, citizen media, because everyone's got this powerful communications and production tool with them all the time.
Hmm. Would you pinpoint or something that you saw as a particularly exciting trend that's emerged in citizen media, or a really exciting moment around the use of mobile technology by citizens?
One that I guess one it would be remiss to not mention is it was the really significant capturing of the death of Neda during the Iranian uprisings last year, and that video captured a lot of international attention and a lot of awards, and that was an interesting experience of having an anonymous user, citizen media, citizen produced piece of media to gain the attention and accolades that it received for being as powerful and momentous as it was. So that's a turning point type moment. But as far as just exciting new ways of using mobile, I think we're seeing really some interesting things happening with audio blogging becoming popular in India and elsewhere. That's kind of like the equivalent of tweeting, but more like leaving a short voicemail. That has very interesting implications for communities with low literacy, for example. And then this sort of similarly, the combination of radio and mobile technology has powerful potential because community radio stations have long been important for getting news out to a population, but integrating those radio stations with mobile programs to get feedback from citizens and enable citizen reporting as well is really has a lot of potential.
A last question here as we close out is, as you know, Ashoka's Changemakers, with the support of Google, is seeking innovations in citizen media as a part of its global competition. What was your reaction when you first heard about this global innovation competition that's going to be launching soon?
I personally think that citizen media is extremely important in bringing more voices and more perspectives and more information out from the bottom up into the public discourse. Of course, from my work and my experience, I'm biased, and I feel that the new media and new technology is really enabling this resurgence, but you can't deny that those new tools are really what help expand the reach of people's voices and stories and reports. And it's an exciting moment because this rise in citizen media really presents us with a huge opportunity to shift global information flows, which used to be unimaginable. For decades, all information was top down, north south. The media we ingested about the world around us was filtered and framed and edited and produced by small handfuls of people. But today, citizens, people, individuals have the chance to actually tell the story of the world around them as they experience it. And this has profound implications because the world really is changing, and politics, international relations, everything can't really be done behind closed doors and without the inputs of citizens. So I think the rise of citizen media and more bottom-up information flows is better for enabling that.
Thanks so much for your time and for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.